Good morning, responsible day traders. Today's Monday, September 18th, 2023. I am Lindsay Duff, and this is Responsible Day Trading. So here we are again at another Monday. The market has been extremely interesting. It has been giving us a lot of information, a lot of movements, and we are definitely going to get into that in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about our scholarship. We will announce scholarship winners next month. So if you haven't filled out your application, hop on over to responsibledaytrading.com, click the apply now button and put in your application today. Or if you know somebody who you think might need some help with some coaching, it's a full ride scholarship. So you will not pay a penny if you win that scholarship. So if you know someone who really needs some help with some education, it's got full access to the vault, to our coaching program, to our course, to homework reviews, you name it, we've got it. The growth and development course, all of that you've got full access to if you are the VIP winner. So we do have 4 winners that we're looking for. We're looking for 2 for our startup program and 2 for our VIP program. But either way, our startup, we're going to give them a little extra perks than you would get in the normal program if you're one of the scholarship winners. Also, something that we've done recently is we have released our Platform Fundamentals program in Spanish. So pretty soon we're going to have a whole new curriculum written up. It's the same curriculum, it's just divvied up a little bit differently. And we are also going to have that coming out in Spanish very soon. So we're excited about that we're going to be able to reach and help a lot more people. All right, guys, we did have contract rollover last week, so let's go ahead and look at the news and then let's check out the market. All right, now, as I was saying, if you come over here to responsibledaytrading.com and you're ready to apply for the fall scholarship, just click right there and apply now. If you've got some questions, you can speak with a team member, or if you're brand new to trading, you can get our free beginner guide right here. So make sure and check that out. But right now we're going to head over to news, and then we're going to head over to market news. And here we can see nothing coming out today. Tomorrow, about an hour before the market opens, we've got some news. And then Wednesday's a little bit wild. So we've got crude inventories an hour after the market opens. And then we've got some FOMC going on between 1 and 1:30. So the market may get a little wild there. We can always hope, but that is one time that I will be sitting out and just waiting for the market to tell me what it's going to do, because sometimes it can just spike so hard when that news comes out that it could spike right through your stop and keep on going. Thursday, an hour before the market opens and half an hour after the market opens, we've got some news. And even Friday, we've got some news 15 minutes after market opens. So let's hope for a little bit of a fun ride there. All right, so the first chart we're going to look at is going to be our daily chart. Now, here is our daily chart, and you can see I've still got the percentages running here. I took them off here so I could see just a little bit better, but we'll put that back up there really quick, looking at the Fibonacci retracements. Before, what we were talking about was how this market pulled back, and you can see it pulled back about between 61 and 75%. The price pulled back, but the MACDs didn't quite make it up that far. So that told us that we were going to have a big possibility to push back down towards the EMAs, which it has done. We didn't see a big pullback in this blue BB whenever we got the pullback here, which also gave us a nice little reversal bar to the downside. So now what's happening, and let me take this off, is that we can see the potential for this to push down just a little bit more. Now, maybe we're going to see it come down here, make a bit of a W pivot and push up. But that BB really struggled to cross the top Bollinger Band, and it does look like it's trying to drop back below the bottom Bollinger Band. It is early in the day, so that can change. I mean, the market is not even open yet. We've got about another hour and 15 minutes before the market opens, so that could definitely change. This could still pop up, move to the upside. It's too early to really put a strong label on it that that's going to push down. But it does seem a little more likely, considering now we are back inside of that small EMA. We've got another little area we could run back to here, or even back to the large EMA here if it's going to push back up. Now, hey, we could say it maybe cut through there, come back down here and push up, or just start making its way back downtown. So we're just going to have to watch it and pay attention. But let's see what the 28,657 is telling us. All right, so when we pull up the 28,657, directions definitely to the downside. We're back below the EMAs, we're back below the zero line, and we're decently below the zero line. But one thing we did notice, we had a nice strong move up. We got back below the EMAs, back above them, and we did shift the direction to the upside here, and then back to the downside here, and back to the upside here, and back to the downside here. So being below the EMAs does not necessarily mean, or being below the EMAs and the zero line does not necessarily mean that we're going to see this continue to the downside. We see what was a very similar look right here. It pushed down a little further and then worked its way back up. Are we going to see that happen here? The BBs did pop back up above the zero line here. And this is a strong pullback or a strong push to the downside. And we can see this purple BBs right here aren't quite reflecting the move that we saw here. This is already giving us some divergence potential vibes, and maybe we'll see this just roll and continue back up, which means we've got a lot of space that we can run back up to the EMAs, and we'll have to look at the strength of the MACDs and the strength of the price if and when we get back up there to determine if we're going to push through this area. Okay, so let's take a look at our trading charts. All right, so our first chart here is our 10,946. So our 10,946 did have a nice pretty move to the upside. Then we cut back below those EMAs and back below the zero line and did really shift that direction to the downside. Now we were seeing little bits of divergences here, but with the strength of the EMAs to the downside, we didn't expect these divergences to shape and change the trend of the market. Really what we're seeing is pulling back up to the zero line and pushing off of it, and the MACDs have made it back below the Bollinger Bands, which does tell us more down, but it's very, very early on. This could really just cut back in and push up, especially with the fact that, once again, even though we can see it pulled back, we have some divergence going on between, or some divergence potential, should I say, going on between these pivots here. So it's leading much, much higher in the MACDs and leading a lot lower in the price. And typically what we can see, if this does start to turn and move to the upside, it should give us a little bit of a push higher up. Now, if we look at the 1597, we had this extreme move to the downside that we can see that happened overnight. It looks like a giant push on the 1597 and a giant push on the 233, and it's just one big bar on the 10946. So that's putting it into perspective how we're looking at the bigger chart to the smaller chart. So we got back above the 1597 EMAs and the zero line here, and we're thinking, okay, is it going to really give us an attempt to shift this to the upside, knowing that we were pulled into the EMAs here on the 10946 and the MACDs were leading lower? It did tell us that we had a good opportunity for this to move down. Now, that's that overnight movement. The overnight movement is usually pretty dramatic, and it doesn't always reflect what's going to happen for the rest of the day. There's not a lot of people involved in that overnight movement, so it can always look a little bit more extreme than we're actually expecting to happen for the rest of the day. Now we can see we got back below, we've created a W pivot that's pushing up, and we see the possibility of this BB to break to the upside on the MACDs. Now, if it's going to happen, we want to see it really break and push really hard to make the attempt to get back through here to get back to the upside. The EMAs are opening to the downside here, and they're opened up with strength here, and it looks like they're trying to give strength here. So we may not see this really, really push to the downside. We're going to have to see a lot of extreme movement in this MACD to come up. Now, something that may help this to move to the upside is if this MACD gets back above here, price and MACDs pull back down and create some divergence. That's going to give me a little bit more oomph for a push back to the upside. But right now it looks like it's really attempting. And you can see the longer that this price bar moves to the upside, the less this BB looks like strength to the downside below the Bollinger Band. It's pulling closer and closer together. Now, if we look at the 233, you can see that W pivot extreme there and the MACDs that had those white BBs and just getting higher and higher and higher. Now we see the white BBs happening right in here. There's no divergence between these, but right now, with everything being so far below the zero line and below the EMAs, the direction is still to the downside on all three. It's attempting to move the direction to the upside on the 233, but we're not going to use that thought process to continue on, because if we're just watching the 233, we're going to get ourselves run over a lot. So we want to make sure that whatever chart we've got in the middle, that's going to be our trading chart. And so this is going to be more or less our overall chart, so we can see where the main strength is going at that time. And right now, with the strong EMAs down, the movement was to the downside here, but that may shift. So we'll have to watch and see. Now, when we look at this 1597, look what's happening now. We're really trying to break above that top Bollinger Band. We do want to wait for this bar to get closer to close. Right now, it's still got 1,100 ticks out of 1,597, so it's more than half. So if this bar closes and this BB stays with that distance to the upside, let's see if it's going to continue. It is attempting to make what looks like a reversal bar here, so we may see it just push back down. We have momentum and strength to the downside, so we're not really expecting this to just flip on a dime and go back to the upside. Long story short, right now on our bigger tick charts, or on our daily tick chart, let's go back to that really quick. Right now on our daily tick chart, our direction is to the upside. It does look like it's making attempts to move it to the downside, but we would have to get back below these EMAs and stay below the zero line in order to really shift the entire market's direction to the downside on the daily chart. But if we pull up that 28,657, it has shifted to the downside. We've seen signs of this may not be a continuation to the downside. Even though the EMAs are opening up, we may see this attempt to push back up. Like I said, we've been above and below these EMAs, which makes it feel a little wishy-washy, and that the strength that happens sometimes here, if we're pulling far enough away, we're going to see it snap back and get to the other side. So we see this strength happening here. We're pulling far enough away. If we get some divergence, we may see this snap back up to the other side. So the direction is down on the 28,657, on the 10,946, on the 1597, and it's still technically down here. Let's see, that was our first close, pulling away from the band, and then we didn't even pull away and close above that bar. So the direction is still technically to the downside on the 233. Are we going to see it shift up? You know, we've talked about this before. I have this bit of an optimism bone in me, and I think that we may see this move back to the upside. But just looking at the daily chart, I don't think it's going to happen right away. I think we may see, if this BB drops back below here and gets back below this Bollinger Band, then we may see it go back down. But right now it's just sitting at that Bollinger Band. It hasn't broken back below it. So we're in that, I don't want to say so much of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other right now, right? So it's in a little bit of could this push back up and continue back to the upside, or is this going to break back down and give us a nice run for our money to the downside? Either way, we have a lot of area that we can cover that can give us a lot of space to run to make some good trades and some good decisions. So I'm just watching this last bar count down, and then we're going to wrap it up. But we can see right here, as it's getting closer and closer to that 50 tick mark, you know, we can see it's going to turn red when it gets to 50. Oh, there it goes. And then we're going to see, what's this BB telling us? I like to watch towards the closer to close of those bars before I make a decision, right? So it did close to the downside, but the BB still pushed up. So what's this next bar going to do? And that's pretty much how the day rolls for us, right? It does look like it's attempting to make that strength to the upside, so we just have to watch and see. All right, guys. Well, the sun is coming up, which is making it a little bit dark in here somehow. But I hope that everybody has a great week. Don't forget, FOMC can be a bit of a doozy, so just keep your mind on it. Pay attention. Know that Wednesday around the 1 o'clock Central Time, you want to be very aware of how the market is behaving. It could be just quiet and not move very much, or it could just slam and go crazy. So just being aware of that kind of thing really does help. I mean, I don't necessarily sit out all news, but that news is different. So that FOMC is different. So we want to pay attention. All right, guys, I am going to wrap it up. I'm exhausted. It's a little early for me, and I've got yoga in an hour. So we're going to try and get this out. If you got any questions, reach out to us. And as always, you know that I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.